Welcome to this quick demo of Toyz. So this demo is just going to be showing you how to use your first time setup and how to integrate other modules into Toyz. So this is assuming that you've already installed it. If you haven't installed Toyz yet, you can go to the documentation and you can see how to do that. So once you've installed Toyz, what we'll do is we're going to connect to the server. So open up a terminal. We're going to set up an SSH port forward. So use this this -L, and then this is the port that we're forwarding. And what this is going to allow me to do is connect to the server as if it's my local machine. Okay, so especially if you're operating on a server behind a VPN or something, this is the way that you want to do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a new directory. And this is going to be where all of our configuration files, all of our temporary files are stored. And so it's set up so that each user can have their own instance of Toyz. You can have multiple instances of Toyz running on the same server. So because of that, you actually have to run it from the directory where your config files are. So it goes and it looks for the configuration files in the directory. It didn't find them, so now it tells me, okay, do you want to create a new Toyz configuration in this directory? So I'll say yes, and so it's going to go. It's going to do that. It creates a database to store all the information. It creates a configuration file, and so now it's running. So it says the server is running on port 8888. It's possible if you have multiple users connecting to the server, this port might be blocked and it might be 8889. In which case you'd actually have to use port forwarding to forward to that port. So if you're working on a system where you have lots of people that might be running this, I recommend beforehand setting out a separate port for each person so they know, which port they can connect to on the server. So now we'll open up our browser, and if we go to localhost 888, it asks us to sign in. So the default username is just admin. And the password is also admin. Now, of course, if you have multiple people that are going to be on this machine, especially if you have multiple users in this Toyz setting, you probably want to set a password for that. And you can do that just by clicking on Change Password. But so this is your main control panel. So Toyz, you could click on here to go to a new workspace. Job queues hasn't really been set up yet. User settings this is where you can add users. So you would just click on new user, you can add a new user, you can choose which paths on the server they have access to. You can choose which Python modules they can use and what groups they're a member of. So that way you can use groups to set all the same things. So if you have a class, for example, you could set all the settings the same for everybody in the class and then just add each user to that group, so you don't have to set each person up individually. And then configuration settings, this is just the database that you want to use. You may be running MySQL or some other database. You can right now Toyz has only been set up for SQLite, but it's a pretty easy API that if you wanted to create an interface for that, you could. So then you could use MySQL or PostgreSQL or whatever your database of preference is. You can choose the default port from when you start Toyz. So again, if you have multiple users and everybody has their own port, you can set a default port so you don't have to type it each time you restart the application. And then just any other third-party web libraries that you want to make sure that get loaded every time. Okay, so we'll go back to our account settings. One thing I like to do is just create a shortcut to the directory where I keep most of my files. And the reason I do that is because when we open the file browser and we start looking at images in some of the later videos, it's just really useful to be able to just click on a shortcut instead of having to go down the whole directory tree every time. And so workspaces, we'll see those in a future video. You can share workspaces with other users, and so this is where you would do that. So Toyz modules, I'm going to add astrotoyz. So this is going to integrate this module into Toyz, so that now you'll have access to all of the to the viewers and all of the functions in the astrotoyz module. Now notice this is just for the user admin. This is just for me as an admin. So if I had other users that I wanted to give access to astrotoyz or some other custom module, I would have to go into either the user settings or the group settings and add that module there. Okay, so for now I've added this directory, I've added Toyz, so now I'm going to click submit, and so this is going to submit that. Now the thing I haven't been able to get working properly is for that to work without me restarting the server. So I'll hit Control-C, which closes the Toyz session, and then I'll just run Toyz again. And now to make sure that it's that the astrotoyz has been installed properly, I'll go to localhost workspace. I'll right-click and I'll say I want a new tile. Right-click on the tile in tile type, and notice that now there's an astro viewer that's available to me. And so the fact that that showed up means that I've correctly integrated it with astrotoyz, and so I'm ready to move on to the next step, which we'll see in future videos.